Hi, my Polygon primitives. It's your 3D girl AB, and today I'll be explaining what is 3D modeling, what is an animation pipeline, show you the basics of 3D modeling in Blender, and I will also give information about the school's first live course this November. So 3D Modeling from A to B is an online school that I started for 3D artists for them to learn how to 3D model and how to specifically 3D model for animation or game. So this is the place where if you want to turn 3D modeling from a hobby to an actual career, this is where to learn. So I'm AB. I'm a 3D artist for animation. I have been working in the industry since 2018. I have interned at different NYC studios, including PSYOP, and I have experience in many different 3D modeling software, including Maya and Blender, and I also have experience in After Effects. I enjoy any medium that allows for storytelling. So what exactly is 3D modeling? So before I explain what is 3D modeling, I'm going to explain what is an animation pipeline that involves 3D modeling. So an animation pipeline is a group of is a team of people and the process that it takes to make an animation. So focusing on 3D animation, first you have an idea. So when it comes to an idea, the idea can be in-house in that we have a group of people inside of a studio that brainstorms, or the studio can be hired by somebody else or another company who has an idea, gives it to the studio, and the studio is going to flesh it out for them. Then the idea goes to writers. So the writing team is responsible for the script. So they write out the story, and then after the writing, it goes to storyboard artists. So during the storyboarding process, the storyboard artist gives an idea of what the animation will look like. So for example, if there's a car chase scene, the storyboard artist would draw out the different angles of the car chase scene, what the characters will be doing, and what the characters will be doing during that scene. Then we have the character designers and the world designers. So the character designers design the different characters in the animation, and the world designers design the world that the characters lives in. For example, the characters' homes, the different places that the characters are going to hang out. Then after world design, we have 3D modeling. And this is where 3D modelers come in. So a 3D modeler's job is to make 3D models or representation of the different designs, the character design and the world design. And then after that, it goes to rigging. And rigging is when they add bones to the 3D model so that it can be animated. Then, of course, the animators do their job, animate these different scenes, and then we have a movie or an animation for people to enjoy. So 3D modeling is making 3D representations of characters, creatures, or objects in a certain software, usually for animation or 3D printing. So if you look on the right side, this is Blender, and inside Blender, a model is being made. So a 3D artist uses a 3D modeling software to make a model that will later be rigged and used for animation. So for example, if you can think of any 3D movie, we're going to look at Toy Story. Woody is a 3D model. He had to be made by a 3D artist before he was rigged and then animated. So how is a 3D model made? And this will be the start of the demonstration of Blender. So you should have already downloaded Blender. And when you open up Blender, you will see this menu. You could change the language, the theme, and whether or not you're right-handed or left-handed. So you can keep it as it is, click away, and you're now in Blender. So the different parts of Blender are, this area is known as the viewport. Below, if I bring it up, you will see a timeline. This is what is used for animation. And on the right side, you will see up here an outliner. And below here is where you have different modifiers or modifications. So for example, we have render, we have output, we have materials, that's for changing colors and texturing, and so many others. At the top, there are different modes for Blender. So if we look up here, there's layout, modeling, sculpting, texturing, texture paint, shading, animation, rendering, compositing, geometry nodes, and scripting. And if I press this plus sign, you will see many more. So the beautiful thing about Blender is that you can do so many things in it. You can model, animate, rig. You can even do 2D animation in Blender. But tonight we're only focusing on 3D modeling. So if you look in the middle of the screen, you will see a default cube, a light, and a camera, and you will also see them in the outliner, camera, cube, and light. So this default cube is what is known as a polygon primitive. So a polygon primitive is any basic shape that you start off with in Blender before editing it in any way. So I have a default cube right here, and I'm going to delete it. So to delete it, there's two ways. I can press X, and it will ask me if I want to delete selected objects. It's selected, so if I had pressed delete, it would delete, or I can simply just press delete, and there's no longer a cube. Now I'm going to show how you can load in a cube or any other polygon primitive. So right now we're in object mode, and if you look here, you will see a plus sign over a cube. If I press it, and I click anywhere on the screen, and I drag, a square begins to appear, and then I let go, bring it up, and then I click, and there is a cube. I can also add other different polygon primitives. So for example, if I hold on to the plus sign over the cube, I can click on add cone, click anywhere, drag, let go, bring it up, and there's a cone. I can also bring in a polygon primitive on top of another one. So for example, you will see that what looks almost like a spotlight is changing depending on what surface I am on. So if I click on this surface, drag, let go, bring it out, there's a cone right on top of it. So how am I turning in Blender? So right now I'm using a middle mouse. I'm clicking on it and I'm just going around. Another way that I can do that is by going here where you see a hand and it's grabbed. And if I press on it and just drag, I'm moving it around. I can also go over where you see a plus sign, click on it and drag from right to left, and I'm zooming in and out. Now, if I don't want to go over here, I can, again, middle mouse to go around. I can hold on to Shift, press the middle mouse and move it to pan around. Or I can just scroll the middle mouse to zoom in and zoom out. I'm going to bring in a cylinder. And there's a cylinder. So now I'm going to show another way that you can bring in polygon primitives. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo that. I'm going to press select box, and I'm going to select all of these. I don't want the camera and the light selected, so I'm going to hold on to Control and select over those two, and I'm going to press delete. Now, another way that I can bring in a polygon primitive is by pressing Shift A, Mesh, and choosing one of the options. I'm going to choose a cube, and the cube appears in the center where you see this circle, which is known as the pivot point. I can press Shift A, bring in a UV sphere this time. It's inside the cube, but that's okay. I can move it. And how I can move it is by going over here where you see move, click on it, and there's the sphere. I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to bring in a cylinder, and I'm going to move it. Now, going back to the left side, you will see different tools. So we're going to focus first on these three: move, rotate, and scale. So I'm going to, for example, select on the cube. If I want to move it, I can just press up here. You will see blue for Z, green for Y axis, and red for X axis. So I can move along an axis. So for example, I can grab the red and move it along the x-axis. To undo anything, I'm just going to press Ctrl Z. I can now move it along the green axis, which is Y. And I can move it along the Z axis. I can also move it outside of an axis by grabbing where this white circle is and just moving it around. The same goes for the sphere and cylinder. Now for rotate, I'm going to click on the cube again. And again, as before, I can rotate on any axis. I can rotate on the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis. And I can rotate anywhere outside of an axis by just moving this white square. Now I'm going to go to scale. So with scale, I can scale the whole thing by pressing inside the small white circle. Going to undo that. Make sure that the white circle is being selected and not an axis. And as you can see, the whole cube is moving. I can also scale along an axis, so I can scale along the z-axis, along the y-axis, and along the x-axis. Now there are hotkeys for this. So for example, if I press the cylinder and I want to move it, I can just press G for grab, and it moves. There are also hotkeys to move it along a specific axis. So if I press G and Y, it moves along the y-axis. If I press G and X, it moves along the x-axis. And if I press G and Z, it moves along the z-axis. Now I'm going to hold on to the sphere. I'm going to click the sphere and show you hotkeys for scale. So for example, just like with grab, well, first let me show rotate. So for example, I can just click on the sphere. I'm going to click select box to remove the rotating gizmo. And if I want to rotate it along an axis, I can just press R, Y, and it rotates along the Y-axis. I can press RX, and it rotates along the X-axis. And I can press RZ, and it rotates along the Z-axis. You can probably see it better on the cube. Again, R, Y, it rotates along the Y-axis. RX rotates along the X-axis. And RZ, and it rotates along the Z-axis. So right now I am in object mode, and when it comes to object mode, you can select a whole object. Now, if I want to modify different parts of an object, I would have to go to what is known as edit mode. So if you go up to object mode and you press the drop-down menu, you will see edit mode, sculpt mode, vertex mode, weight paint, and texture paint. We are only focusing on object mode and edit mode. So I can click edit mode here, or if I want to, I can just press tab and it will send me to edit mode, but make sure that you have a polygon primitive selected. So if you look up here, you will see this for vertices, edges, and faces. So these small black dots are vertices. Right now I'm in vertex mode. I'm going to now click edge mode. These are the edges. Now I'm going to click face mode, and these are the faces. Now there are hotkeys to switch between modes. For example, I can just press 1 and I'll be in vertex mode. Note, I'm pressing the numbers that are at the top of the keyboard, not the numpad. The numbers for the numpad does something different, which I will show later, but do not press the numpad if you're trying to change between modes of a polygon primitive. So again, 1 is for vertex mode, 2 is for edge mode, and 3 is for face mode. If I want to select all edges, faces, or vertices, I can go over here and do this. But if I do that and I look around, the faces that were not visible are not selected. So if I want to select all faces, I can press A and everything is selected. Or I can go through different modes up here. So here we have wireframe, Here we have solid. Material preview, that's for if you added, like, for example, a specific color. And rendered. So I can go to wireframe, and then if I go over the whole cube, all the faces are now selected. I can also, again, just press A, and all the faces will be selected. So same thing, if I press 2 for edge mode and I press A, all edges will be selected. If I press 1 for vertex mode and press A, all vertices will be selected. So now I'm going to go back to object mode, and I'm going to show what the numbers on the numpad is for. So you can use the numbers on the numpad to see specific views. So for example, if I want to see the front view, I can press 1. And here you will see front orthographic view. I can press 3, and I will have right orthographic view. And I can press 7, and I will have top orthographic view. To come out of these views, I can just middle mouse and move. Now, let's say I want the left side or I want the bottom view. I can press 3, and it brings me to my right side, and then I will press 9 for the opposite side. So I press 9, and now I'm in my left orthographic view. If I press 7 for my top orthographic view, I just have to press 9, and now I'm in my bottom orthographic view. You can see it right up here in the top left. If I press 1 for my front orthographic view, I just have to press 9, and I'm in my back orthographic view. Another way I can go between these views is by going to this gizmo right here. And for example, I press X, and I'm in my right orthographic view. I press Y, back orthographic view. I press Z, top orthographic view. Also note that there's a positive X and a negative X. If I press negative X, left orthographic view. If I press negative Z, bottom orthographic view. And if I press negative Y, front orthographic view. So now let's make our first 3D model. So I'm going to select all these 3 right here. I don't want to select the light, so I'm going to hold on to Control and select over that. And I'm going to press D, and now all those are deleted. So now I want to go to my front view. So I'm going to press 1, and I am in my front orthographic view, and I'm going to press Shift A. So no, I'm doing this in object mode. So I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to go to Image, Reference. Now you should have already downloaded your reference image for this workshop. And so here is where I have it saved, and I'm going to open it. And now I have my reference image of a queen chess piece. I can click on it and bring it up. And I'm bringing it up so that the bottom of the queen chess piece matches to where the X is. So now I'm going to now make the queen chess piece. So how am I going to do that? So to do that, I'm going to decide what polygon primitive I want to use. But first, I'm going to bring the queen back. And the polygon primitive that I want to use is a cylinder. So I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to go to Mesh, and I'm going to bring in cylinder. So now with my cylinder, I notice I have a lot of faces, but I don't need that many faces. Whenever you bring in a polygon primitive, if you look at your bottom left, you will see add and whatever primitive you selected. It is important if you're going to make modifications to press this right away, because if you click anywhere in the screen, like if I click over here, it disappears. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z and undo bringing in the polygon primitive. I'm going to press Shift A, bring in the cylinder again. And this time I'm going to press Add Cylinder. And right now I have 32 faces around, and I'm going to bring this down to 8. I want an even number because I want a center line. What do I mean by that? So if I press 1, I have a line down here. I can press wireframe for you to see it better. And whenever you're making something symmetrical, it's best to have a center line so that if you make a mistake on one side, you can delete that side, duplicate the other side, and mirror it to fix mistakes. Now, I'm going to go back to my solid. Up here, you will notice that I have a side that has more than 4 sides. So there's 2 things that you want to avoid as a modeler, and that is having tris, faces with 3 sides, or n-gons, any face that has more than 4 sides. This has to do with UV unwrapping, which we're not going to go over. We're only going to focus on modeling. So how can I get rid of this N-gon? So I'm going to select the cylinder, and I'm going to press Tab for my edit mode. And I'm going to press 2 for my edge mode. I'm going to hold on to Shift and select these edges up here. Now I'm going to use what is known as inset. So if I go over here, you will see inset faces. Click on it. And then I'm going to inset. So it's not insetting. That's because it's not working on the edges. So to fix that, I'm going to press 3 for my face mode and select the face at the top. I'm going to press inset again, and this time bring it in. I'm going to press 1 for it to go to my vertex mode. All these vertices are already selected, so I'm going to press M, and then I'm going to press at center, and now these are merged. I'm going to do the same at the bottom. I'm going to press 3 for face. Select this face. Now I can press inset again, or I can press the hotkey I and bring it in. Now I'm going to undo this to show you something. Whenever you use a hotkey, how much you can modify it depends on how far away or how close you are to the polygon primitive. So if I have the cursor right above the face and I press I and I move, it's not going to move that much. Versus, I'm going to undo that. If I bring the cursor over here and I press I and bring it in, I get to move a lot more. Now I'm going to press 1 for vertex mode, press M to merge, press at center. So now I have tries. So again, I want to stay away from the middle line. So I'm going to go to my edge mode. I'm going to not use this line. I'm going to select every other by holding on to Shift. I'm going to press select box so that it's no longer wanting to inset. And then I'm going to press delete, and I'm going to press dissolve edges. I'm going to do the same at the bottom. I'm not going to touch the edge in the center. I'm going to hold on to Shift and press every other edge, press delete, dissolve edges. And now you will see that these are now quads. So now I'm going to press 1, and I'm going to press wireframe so I can see through it. And now let's make some modifications so that it becomes a queen chess piece. So I'm going to press my vertex mode and select these vertices here. I'm going to press G and Z and bring these up right here. I'm going to select these. I'm going to press G and then Z and bring these down. I'm going to select all these. Now these are still too big, so to bring it in, I'm going to press S and bring it in. Now I'm going to select these vertices at the bottom, press G and Z, and make modifications. G and Z again. Now, of course, you can see that the queen chess piece is curved right here. I'll fix that later. Now, I want to use 2 views because I want to be able to see the front view and the top view. So to do that, I'm going to hover over here where you see this line where the viewport ends. And when I hover over it, you see the cursor turns into the shape that has an arrowhead on each side. I'm going to right click and I'm going to press vertical split. I have this line here. I'm going to bring it to the middle, click, and now I have 2 sides. I'll keep the left side as the front view, and on my right side while hovering over it, I'm going to middle mouse. And now I can see the faces at the top. So now that these faces at the top, I want to extrude. I can click extrude right here and bring this up. Click away, select these vertices here, press S for scale, and bring them in. Gonna undo that. Again, I press select box, and I'm gonna now press S again and bring it in. Now I want there to be a little bit of shape here. So for the hotkey to add an edge, I can press Control R. I can also press right here, loop cut. And if I hover over it and click it, a new edge loop is formed. I can press S and bring it out. Another way to do this is if I press select box again, I can press Control R, click on it, drag it down, and then when it's where I want it to be, press S and bring it in. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to be further away before pressing S, press S again and bring it in. Now I'm going to go back to my face mode by pressing 3. And I'm going to select these faces at the top. If I can't see it properly, I can go up here, press middle mouse, drag this over, and go back to my solid mode and select these faces up here. And it remains in wireframe on the left side. So I'm going to press E instead of pressing extrude here. I'm going to press E and bring it up. I'm going to press Control R and edge loop here. And instead, I could drag it, but if I don't want to, I can just press Escape. It stays in the center, and I'm going to press S and bring it out. Now I'm going to press 3. Select these faces at the top here again. Press E, and I'm going to bring it all the way up here. Click. And I'm going to press Control R, bring an edge right here. Press Escape. Press S and bring it in. Well, before I bring those in, I just realized that I want these to stay, I want up here and up here to stay the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press 1 for my vertex mode, select all these vertices, and then press S and bring it in. Press G for grab, press Z, bring it down some. Select these vertices up here, press G and then Z and bring it up. Now I'm going to go back to my face mode. These faces at the top is already selected. I'm going to press E, bring it up to right about here. Now I could bring this wider, but I realized that this part of the queen looks a little bit flat. So instead, I'm going to select these faces here. As you can see, there's these dots. That means that if I go over a dot, it will select that face. Versus if I go up here and I'm not over any dots, it won't select it. And this is to help you to know what faces you're selecting. So if you look on the right side, the faces at the top is not selected, which is how I want it. So now I'm going to press E for extrude, and I'm going to press S for scale, and I'm going to bring it out. Now, I don't like how, if you look at the right side, it's going a bit out. So I'm going to press Control Z, and instead I'm going to press Shrink Flatten, and now I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to do that. First, I have to extrude. So let me press E to extrude. Now I'm going to do that. Let me press E to extrude, and let me click. And now I'm going to press Shrink Flatten, and now bring it out. It's right about here. I'm going to press Control R and edge here, press Escape, press S, and bring it out. Again, I was too close, so I'm going to press Control Z to undo that, and I'm going to press S again, but further away, and now bring it out. So now, I'm going to press 3 for my face mode, click Select Box, and select these faces at the top right here. I'm going to press E. I made a mistake of pressing Control E, just press E and bring it up to right about here. Press S, bring it in. And now I'm going to make some modifications. So I'm going to press R, click the edge here, drag it down, click, press S, bring it out some. Control R again, click, bring it to about right here. Move away, press S, and bring it in. Control R again, bring it to right about here. Move away, press S, and bring it out. And as you can see, I'm starting to add form. Control R, and the edge right there, press Escape, press S while further away, and bring it in. Again, these parts need to be curved, but I'm going to fix that later. I'm going to press 3 for my face mode, set these faces at the top right here. Press E to extrude, bring it up, click, press S, bring it in. Press E again, bring it up, press S, bring it in. Get very, very small. Press G and then Z, bring it down a little bit. Now press Control R, bring it right here, press Escape, move away, press S, and bring it out. Control R here, press Escape, press S, bring it out. Control R, bring it here, press Escape, move away, S, and bring it out. So now the queen is starting to take shape. It's very important as you work too in Blender to save, because Blender can crash at any time. So I'm going to press File, I'm going to press Save, and I'll just name this queen. Save Blender file. There we go. I'm going to press Control R over here, add it right here, press Escape, move away, press S, and then bring it out just a little bit. I think I want to add another one here, so I'm going to press Control R, click, press Escape, move away, press S, and then bring it in. So now, how to make these parts smoother? So we're going to use what is known as bevel. So I'm going to click away so no edges are selected, and I'll start up here. And I'm going to hold on to Alt and select this edge right here, and then all the edges in this loop is selected. Then I'm going to go over here where it says bevel, click on it, and then I'm going to pull it out. If I want more edges to take shape, I can middle mouse and scroll, and more edges will come out. I'm going to then press S for scale and bring it out. Press G and then Z, bring it up some. I'm going to press Control R and an edge right here. Press Escape. Press S for scale and bring it out. There we go. Now for here, I'm going to click away. Going to press Select Box. Alt, select this edge right here. And then instead of pressing bevel over here, I can just press Control B and bring it out, and middle mouse to add more edges. I'm going to now press S and bring it in some. Control R, add an edge loop here, click, press S and bring it in. Hold on to, click away, hold on to Alt, select this edge loop right here, press S and bring it in some. Click away so that no edges are selected. Press Alt, select this edge loop right here. Control B, bring it out. Now, it has the same number of edge loops that I selected before, but of course I can minimize if I want to. I don't want to. I like it like that. I'm going to hold on to Alt, select this edge loop right here, press Control B, and bring it out. Press S, and bring it out. I'm going to go to the bottom right here. Hold on to, click away, hold on to Alt, select this edge loop right here, Control B, and bring it out. Press S and bring it out. Click away, hold on to Alt, select this edge loop right here, Control B, bring it out. Press S and bring it out. Same thing right here, hold on to Alt, Control B. I can also hold on to Shift and Alt, Alt and Shift, and select the one at the bottom here. Now, all of them at the bottom are not being selected, so I'm going to hold on to Shift and select these right here. And I'm going to press Control B and bring it out. So now there's more softness to it. However, it's still a little bit hard. So to fix that, I'm going to use a modifier. So I'm going to go over the center line here. Again, you see the two arrowheads. I'm going to right click and I'm going to press join areas. And I'm going to join from here to over here. So I'm going to click the left side and it's now joined. Now I'm going to go to my object mode and I'm going to add a modifier. So to add the modifier, I'm going to go right here where you see a wrench called modifiers. I'm going to press a plus sign for add modifier, go to generate, and I'm going to go to subdivision surface. When I went to subdivision surface already, you can see it's a little bit smoother, but it can become even more smoother. So I'm going to bring up what is known as the levels viewport. Now it's soft, which is good, but if you look in the reference images, some parts that still need to be hard. So I'm going to press tab for my edit mode. And as you can see, it shows the wireframe of what it looks without this, of what it looks like without the subdivision surface. I'm going to bring down the levels viewport. back to 0. And I'm going to add extra edge loops to areas where it's harder. So for example here, Control R, click, and I'm going to drag it right here. Control R here, bring it down here. I can also add one here. Here, click, one here. One here. I could bring one here. And one here. I could bring one here. And one here. I could bring one here. Maybe one here, even though it's very, very tight. Go to the bottom and bring one here. Now, if I bring up the levels viewport and press tab and go to my object mode, it's softer while still having some of the hard edges. I'll bring it up to 5. So you have now made your first model, a queen chess piece, inside Blender. So we just went over how is a 3D model made. So would you like to learn more? If you do, this is where 3D modeling from A to B comes in. So this November, 3D modeling from A to B will be teaching its first live course. So just a refresher, 3D modeling from A to B is an online school and studio where 3D artists not only learn how to 3D model, but how to 3D model for an animation pipeline. It's a community where 3D artists can learn from each other. So our first live course will be on character modeling, and you will learn how to make this character. This course will be held for 6 weeks, once a week, and on Tuesday at 7 p.m. EDT. The first class will be held on November 5th at 7 p.m. EDT. After each live class, you will have access to its recording. You will also have access to the school's Discord where you can ask me or any other members questions. You will have access to the school's free mini course as well to have basic knowledge of Blender before the first live class. So right now the course is $210, but if you add in the promo code, you will get it for 10% off for $189. And you will have in your email the promo code information, and you can just put the promo code inside. I will also be putting the promo code in the chat as well. So again, it is 210% off, but if you sign up with the promo code, which you see on the screen, if you type 10% off and the off part in all cap, you will get it for 10% off. And the promo code is in the chat. So now this is the part for Q&A. You can also email me any questions at ab@3dmodeling.com. And again, thank you so much for coming to the workshop. And I'm hoping to see you in the live class.